Welcome in, fans, to the first episode of Season 2 of the Two-Line Pass. I'm your host, Randon, here with me, as always, and excited to have him, Dustin, Ryan. We are so back, baby! Season 2 and the first season for your Utah Mammoth. How are you guys feeling tonight? Welcome to the show.
Feeling very Olympic today.
Olympic? What? Is this a hint at Keller?
That's from Cool Runnings. Feeling very Olympic today, Coach.
Well, feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. Get on up, Ryan.
So excited to be back in the studio with the boys, talking hockey.
With the boys.
Yep, with the boys. Only two people with Mammoth jerseys, officially.
Get them while they're hot, guys.
Everybody else, everybody listening to this is like, hey, Ryan, when are we getting jerseys? And look who has them. Perks of the job? No, I don't have mine. I'm not special.
Did you even order
the team sent you one. They were supposed to send you one. They sent us one.
I asked for McBain, and they said he's not ready yet.
Jack McBain, career high in everything. You heard it here first. That's my first official prediction. I'm talking everything. Penalty minutes. Everything.
When I say everything,
I mean everything. We're talking beers after the game. We're talking steak.
Well, we are excited to be back talking some Utah Mammoth with you guys. It's been a long offseason. I think everybody is so excited. The preseason has just begun, so hockey is officially back. So we're, of course, back with it. A lot has happened over the offseason, though, right? We've gotten some new faces, some new names. The iconic Brandon Tanev, the face that never quits. The Ryan, your boy, JJ Peterka, is in action. And then, of course, we have Nate Schmidt, another Stanley Cup defenseman brought on to help this team. And not to mention all of our young guys, our rookie guys. We'll see who makes it, if any of them. But for all the off-season storylines, Dustin, what was your favorite thing in the off-season that you were paying attention to, or the most critical moment that happened in the Utah Mammoth off-season?
I mean, I might just be like cherry picking and taking the obvious answer, but the addition of Peterka is the biggest news, right? Like he's probably gonna be on our top line. I would assume, and that's just the next step towards building a playoff contender. Like I'd love to say Tanev or anything else that they did or talk about and give props and flowers to Ingram for what he's gone through, but it's just so far ahead of everything else. The addition of Peterka is the biggest news of the offseason. That's what everybody's talking about.
Ryan, you're so excited you got yourself a Peterka jersey. Is that also, I'm assuming, your favorite part of the offseason was the addition of Peterka?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it might not seem like a big deal to a lot of fans who don't understand what JJ Peterka is going to be for this team and on this team. Now, granted, he came from Buffalo, but the things he was doing for Buffalo is pretty insane when he had one teammate that was worth shit 99% of the time. Thank you, Alex Tuck. I will always ride for you. But yeah, Peterka is probably the biggest news. The Ingram one, I think, is more like at the homegrown news. Like, it wasn't like you know what I mean? Like, from the team of last year, Ingram's is the one that hurts. But yeah, I think Peterka will be the biggest impact signing.
Well, let's stick with Peterka. If you haven't paid attention to Peterka in Buffalo, so he is a natural goal scorer along with Dylan Guenther. So last two seasons, he's got 28 and 27 goals, 50 points and 68 points respectively. So that 68 points, that would have been good for second on the team in points, right? Which I think we all agree needs to get better. Like, you have to have multiple people above the 70-point mark is at least the goal. But the Florida Panthers proved that maybe you don't need that much firepower, at least not in the regular season. But Peterka, now, I want to get your thoughts on this, guys, because this is what surprised me the most based on the preseason and the practice lines. JJ Peterka is actually going to be playing with Logan Cooley and Dylan Guenther. Now, I thought for sure it was going to be an argument. Is he going to play right wing with, is it going to be Keller, Cooley, Peterka? Is it going to be Guenther, Hayton, Schmaltz then? What line does Peterka play on? Does he play with Schmaltz and Hayton on line 2? But it looks like maybe the first line, maybe the second line, or an interchangeable. But do you guys see that as a future line for this team? The Peterka, Cooley, Guenther line, Does that stick?
That has to be the line you stick with. Other three guys with Keller, Hayden, and Schmaltz, they've been on the team the longest out of the three, so they have the most experience with each other, which means they don't need that much coaching. Let's be honest. Keller doesn't need coaching, Schmaltz doesn't need coaching, and between the two of them with Hayden, who, name a bigger dog on the team now that Josh Doan is gone, it's Barrett Hayden. He's the guy I want on the first line at least. And then with the three young kids, that's three guys on the line, all 23 and under. That gives them all the time in the world to just play together, learn. And the three of them together, they're going to be the Ottawa line with Spezza, Heatley, and Alfredson. I'm calling it now. They're going to stick there. I'm hoping we have more success than the three of those two, or those three did. But it's going to be one of those, like those three, they should be together. And I think they all kind of complement each other in a way where Cooley is going to be the steady part of that line. But we know we're going to get with Cooley every play. He's going to get, you know what I mean? Gunther can score from anywhere. And then JJ Peterka, as a Sabres fan, he has the knack of just being in the right place at the right time and pairing those three together. It's just, if it works, it's going to work beautifully.
Dustin, do you see it working? Do you see it working long term?
I see it working. I will say, like, trying to get inside Bear's head. Like, maybe he tries to split Gunther and Peterka because he wants, like, a natural goal scorer on both lines rather than putting them on the same line. All I will ask is that once you decide what your lines are going to be, just keep them there. I don't want the constant back and forth shuffling of like, oh, we're going to try these guys on the first line. And okay, that didn't go well for a couple of games. Now we're going to switch it up and we're going to try this. Just figure out your lines, keep them there. That's all I want to see, especially early on in the season. Like, this team needs to get off to a really good start. And I think you have a better chance of accomplishing that if you're sticking with the same lines and they can build chemistry together and learn how to play with each other rather than shifting it around every 2 or 3 games if it doesn't immediately work.
And that is my big fear as well, Dustin. We talked about this at length last season, where it throws things against the wall and see what sticks for your lines. The minute it doesn't work, you're not making in-game adjustments. You're making adjustments the next game and the next game and the next game. There's no time to gel, to form a connection. And I feel like the Peterka, Gunther, Cooley line needs chemistry more than anything. They've got speed out the wazoo. They will not play defense except for Cooley. Peterka doesn't play defense, and Gunther's not exactly a defensive stalwart, right? Cooley's the only person who plays defense on that line. And so they are going to look to outspeed and outskate any other line that they're up against. And I just worry that Bear will not let that line have the time it needs to figure its life out. And, or worse, maybe the second line, maybe Keller, Hayton, and Schmaltz, he had a habit of shifting lines to try to get guys. Now, he usually did it as a punishment. He usually changed the line as a punishment. But let's say that Keller, Schmaltz, or Hayton is having a rough go at things. Does he break up a successful Peterka, Cooley, Gunther line to help get them something? And that's where I really worry. And I don't want to immediately start episode 1, season 2 off criticizing Andre Tourigny. He's gonna be the biggest question mark of this entire season. Can he have the patience to get these lines working? Ryan?
I just want to chime in real quick. Punishing your player by changing the line doesn't punish your player. It does. You're punishing the team and the fans by mixing. You know what I mean? Give him less ice time. You know what I mean? Keller, if you want to punish somebody, we have enough guys like a Keller. I think Gunther, Cooley, and even Schmaltz could do it if you asked them. They can double up a line. Cut somebody's ice time a little bit. You know what I mean? Punish one guy. Collective punishment is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard for a hockey team. I kind of want to flick on, I just want to hit him in the back of the ear. Sorry, I just wanted to chime in with that.
That's not a bad argument, and I'm hoping it won't come to that, right? Like, I'm really hoping it won't come to that he will have the patience, and there's not a whole lot new, right? Like, I mean, the addition to Peterka, right, is huge, right? But there were people that maybe wanted to be, you know, what we want Peterka to be. Obviously, like a Michelli was kind of wanted to be that type of guy, that next level goal scorer, and never quite worked out, right? But when you're looking outside of Peterka, certainly the bottom 6, like it's pretty similar to what we had. And so now we just have slightly better offensive production, or if Peterka does what he should do, significantly better offensive production, maybe at the exchange of a little bit of defense, but the rest of the team is the same. And so I hope that it doesn't get to the point where he just starts this, he being Turney, just starts changing things because he can. Worst thing he can do, in my opinion, is throw rookies in the mix just to shake things up. I'm going to get your thoughts on it, but I'm going to say something potentially controversial here, and we'll see how controversial. I don't want a single rookie, barring significant injuries, I don't want a single rookie starting day one. Agree or disagree, guys?
100% agree. From what I've seen from our rookies playing in the preseason, not that any of them performed terribly. You know, they're rookies. They performed how you expect rookies to kind of play in a rookie showcase kind of thing. I don't really think any of them ready. Even Lamoureux. He got his 15 minutes of fame, aka his 15 games he got to play last season, and he's not ready. And Cole Baudouin, another year is not going to hurt you, dude. It's not. Where are we going to put him? Where are we going to put these rookies? Because I'm sorry. I think Brandon Tanev is also a really good signing, and I think we're kind of just like saying he's just another addition to the bottom six. I think Brandon Tanev is one of the best bottom six forwards in the NHL. And I think if he likes it, I think if he can play with Bear's style, I think, or if Bear just kind of doesn't restrict him and is like, hey, just play you, I think Brandon Tanev made our bottom six a whole lot better than what it was last year. But yeah, the rookies, we don't need them. Like, we still have Yamamoto, right? Like, Kyler is still on. Fucking play Yamamoto. We want Yamamoto. That's what that kid, like, put him in. He's got games. Put the kid in. He's a perfect bottom six guy with Brandon Tanev and Stenlund. Like, I don't need a rookie learning how to play on the bottom six on a team that is not the greatest bottom six. We're not. We're really, you know what I mean? Like, putting a Cole Baudouin on the third or fourth line doesn't help him.
That's where they see him long term. Dustin, do you want to see a rookie start day one?
I don't think so. Like, the only areas where I could see one is, like, I think we're set with our forwards. The only one that I think you could possibly juggle with is Yamamoto, but I think he played so well in the time that he got last season. You got those couple of highlights where he drops off that puck and then immediately, like, throws a check, and he had highlights. He had really good moments last year. The only place where I could really see something happening, and I know he's not a rookie, but I wouldn't mind seeing Maverick Lamoureux take Ian Cole's spot. And Ian Cole's going to go to the box just as much as Maverick was. And so if you're going to have two guys on your defense who are going to just pick up a bunch of penalty minutes, you might as well play the young guy instead of Ian Cole. It wouldn't surprise me to see him moved, because it's not going to serve him to go play in the AHL or anything like that. So that's the one place where I could see something outside of what our projected lines are going to be. But with the additions that we made in the offseason, I just don't see any room for the rookies, regardless of whether I think they're good enough to play at the level yet. I don't think there's any room for them, especially on opening day.
Absolutely. And I think it may be the case that injuries are the only thing that opens the door. I think you've got three potentials, right, that people are talking about. You've got Tija Ginla, you've got Daniil Boot, and you've got Simashev. And I think if anybody were to make the roster, I would go the other defenseman, and I would go Simashev. Maverick Lamoureux, I feel like, has been Maverick Lamoureuxing it up in the preseason. He has had a lot of ice time, and some of his flaws have been exposed significantly, and I think another year in the AHL will do him wonders. I don't know at this point. I'm overreacting. I find myself overreacting a lot. I don't know necessarily if he is a top pairing defenseman like we hope he is, but he's young, right? Maverick Lamoureux is still young. He's got his whole career ahead of him. Let's let him develop. No need to rush him into it. Now, Dmitry Simashev is also very raw, but he's got the makings of it. And if you had to, I can see him coming in and replacing Ian Cole. I think Ian Cole's a better defensive defenseman than Simashev is, and I worry that we won't have enough defensive defensemen if we play Simashev, but that will come with time. That will come with time, and I suspect an injury will give him his chance. Now, for the forwards, I agree with you, Ryan. I don't see anyone. I love Tej, right? I love Daniil Boot. I love them both. I don't want to see him on the ice that early, right? Like even with injuries, like we have Carcone, we have Yamamoto, we have guys who can fill that role. So like really your only spot right now is Liam O'Brien's spot, who I think we all agree.
So
Ryan.
if you had to see if we were playing, not that we're going to play 7 defensemen, but if we had where it was going to be, we're going to switch out, you know what I mean? Like we're going to switch out one of the defensemen. Who would you rather see, Shimashev or Lamoureux, switch out for Cole?
Shimashev. I've seen enough from Lamoureux. I have no trust in his ability as a defenseman anymore. I love the guy. I think I love his attitude, but I think he is very much you want him to succeed because he's so likable versus he will succeed because he's a good hockey player. And I think that right now, if I had to choose between the two of them, I would take Simashev. But honestly, if I had to choose,
either one,
I would just take Nick DeSimone. I mean, I would just put in DeSimone as our 6th defenseman, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that we would.
Well, wouldn't DeSimone come in now that Kesselring is gone? Wouldn't he just become the 5th? Who's becoming the 5th?
So your top pairing, you've got Sergachev, Marino, Dursey, Olimata, Ian Cole, and then the 6th. And Nate Schmidt.
Oh, Nate Schmidt. Yeah. Forgot about that.
So,
okay. So
you'd have.
Would you rather replace Ian Cole permanently with one of the 2 kids, like switch off between the 2 kids, or would you rather play Ian Cole with one of the 2 kids as a backup?
Again, I'd rather play DeSimone. But if I had to...
He's not available, Randon. He's got a broken fibula.
So here's the problem with... Last year, we wanted to pair our young defensemen with Ian Cole. And now
he's too old now.
Ian Cole being the guy that we're replacing.
You pair him with Mata. You pair the kid with Mata. You put Schmidt with Dursey. Or you do Sergachev and Dursey, and then Marino and Schmidt, and then Mata and the kid. Because I'm going to be honest, out of all the defensemen we have, I don't trust any of them more than I trust Olli Mata.
Right.
Even as the second pairing, I feel Olli Mata and a rookie are going to be fine, knowing that the backing up would hypothetically be Dursey and Schmidt, however they want to run it. Even if we don't do like the 1, 2, 3 necessarily, and you just say, hey, these are our 6 defensemen we have paired, they're all going to get similar, whatever you want to do. Like the bottom 2, have them running similar ice time, and let Marino and Sergachev get their 37 minutes or whatever the fuck Sergachev and his Russian body wants to put on.
I will say I would like...
Because I think I would rather take the kid with Mata than Ian Cole. Whichever one of the kids with Mata, and just, sorry, Cole. I love you to death, buddy, but you're more of a veteran present at this point. We just kind of need you here as kind of the locker room guy. Love you to death, buddy, but...
Barring injuries, Ian Cole seems to be the odd man out. Now, I was kind of hard on Maverick Lamoureux, but he did play a back-to-back, right? He played in both the Ducks game and the first Avalanche game. Did he? I think he did, right? He played in the first. Yeah,
I don't know.
So he played in the first game against the Avalanche, and then he played in the game against the Ducks on the back-to-back. He played about 19 minutes against the Ducks, and I would assume they don't have time on the ice, but I would assume it played about the same. So he's obviously, with playing him in the back-to-back, I think you wanted to see him to see if he's ready. So coach is trying to make that decision, and I don't know. Dustin, are you sticking with it? If you had to replace Ian Cole, replacing him with Maverick Lamoureux?
I feel like he's just got a higher ceiling, and I like his frame. He's a big body. Like I just want to see what he can do. I'm gonna replace him with Maverick Lamoureux.
Mm-hmm. You couldn't find a more likable guy to want to succeed. Like I said, I think Maverick Lamoureux is one of those guys where you just want him to succeed because he seems like such a nice guy. Do you guys mind? Do you want to jump right into the preseason and take a look at those games?
I will ask just one. You both were kind of discussing the defensive pairings and the defensive lines. Would you be giving any thought to what defenseman you're pairing up with the Gunther, Cooley, Peterka line, since they don't play defense? Do you want to move, like, you don't want them paired up with Sergachev because he's an offensive-minded defenseman, and you want like your
Marino and Mata?
Marino and Mata.
Marino or Mata, one of the two of them out there with them. Because those kids are gonna give up some shit. Like, let's all just accept the fact now. Those kids are gonna give up some shit.
Yeah, yeah, they're not gonna play defense, and that's okay. But Cooley will. Cooley will, and maybe Cooley is such a dog, the good kind of dog, that it will make up for the lack of, because we know
He
Peterka
is.
won't. Like, we just know Peterka won't. Gunther never really had to. I'm not saying Gunther isn't capable of it. He just never really had to. Like, I don't know. And he seems like the kind of guy, both him and Peterka kind of seemed like they want to cheat and not play defense. So they want to cheat and break out and go from there. And Cooley will hold down the fort. But yeah, I think you got to, if you can avoid the situation where you're trying to pair our defensive pairings against a certain forward line, but you got to have a defensive defenseman in there. And then the Sergachev can obviously come in on the power play where the defensive liabilities don't really matter, obviously. Yeah, Mata and if John Marino and Sergachev play, then I guess that's their pairing. But I still like Ole Mata so much. I still think he is one of our best pure defensemen on the team. As we discussed, we are in the midst of the preseason. So let's take a look at the games, right? So we had a doubleheader against Colorado, which was delayed multiple times due to travel arrangements. But there was the afternoon game and then the evening game. We lost both. The afternoon game was significantly worse. That was a 5-1 shellacking by the Cale Makar and Gabriel Landeskog led Avalanche. But then a close 3-2 loss in the evening game. And then we go and the very next night play the Anaheim Ducks and get crushed 6-1. Now, have a rant and a rave about the preseason and whether or not I'm allowed to get angry or not. But before I get into that, what did you guys see? What did you guys like out of the preseason games that you saw? I know, Ryan, you had some troubles watching a couple of them, but what are you most excited for heading into this preseason?
The young guys. I mean, I didn't really get to watch much, I'm going to be honest. I really only saw the highlights of the fights and then about 10 minutes of the first period of the first Colorado game. That Douglas kid, call him up. Tuna, you're out of a job. Sorry, buddy. Love you to death. But that 6'9" Douglas kid, way better already. But I think I'm just excited for the season, just in general. I think our team got a lot better than we were last year, and I think it's going to be a fun season. Let's put it that way. I don't know.
A fun season indeed. Curtis Douglas is one of those AHL guys that you love to have on the team. You know he's going to get a fight at 148 penalty minutes 2 seasons ago playing for the Tucson Roadrunners. So if they do need a fight, like I think all signs just point to, unfortunately, Liam O'Brien is just going to ride out his contract, make his $1 million, which he made in the press conference. Good on him. And he's going to just ride out into the sunset as a happy man. But Dustin, what's got you most excited as you're watching these preseason games?
The preseason, I will admit, like, it is really, really hard for me to get invested at all in preseason games. Because, like, you're just watching a lot of guys who aren't going to be in the NHL. They're not going to be on the team. They're not it's like watching preseason NFL games. Like there are some things that you can see. There's some things you can learn. There's some things you can glean from what you see. But like the wins and losses, they're not the most important thing. It's just you're not really seeing what you're excited about. Like I'm excited for the season to start and make sure that Utah can get off to a really good start because they start on the road. Fuck you, Benson Boone. They start on the road and there's a string of some relative. I'm not going to say that any games in the NHL are easy, but there's a string of teams to start the season that you should be beating. And then you hit a stretch of a lot of really good teams. Because of that, I'm excited to see whether or not this team can hit the ice skating instead of the ground running. See if they can hit the ice skating. But like in terms of the preseason, like there's just not a whole lot to see or get super excited for. Like it's cool to see like some of the new guys actually on the ice in Mammoth sweaters, but there's, like I said, there's just not a whole lot to get excited about in preseason games. Especially those first two when you're splitting the squad to play 2 different games. It's like you're taking your NHL guys and you're already splitting them and you're seeing less that way. It's like I sat down and I tried. Like I tweeted about the first goal of that first game. It's like, and then I couldn't. This is boring. This is boring. I'm sorry. It's hockey, but it's boring. I don't watch preseason NFL games or NBA games or summer league, and I know there's some sickos out there who watch all of that, but it's hard to get excited for.
I think it was just that we waited so long. The offseason was so long, which was this was our first offseason as a franchise, right? It was exciting, and it's so after all that time. Here it is, the preseason comes. And here's my rant, because it kind of ties into what you were saying. Is it is very difficult to get invested in the preseason. But I am going to get invested in it. And I can't tell you how many times you saw on Twitter today about how it's just the preseason. These games are meaningless. These scores are meaningless. The results are meaningless. Nothing matters except for a few things. Systems, player development. That's pretty much it, right? Well, let me tell you this, Twitter world. It all matters. Only losers say they don't care about the scores of preseason games, right? We've been shellacked, outscored 14-4. Where's the pride? Where's the passion coming from our players? If we're seeing our young guys fight for a spot, they are not fighting very hard, and it sucks. Losing sucks. No matter how much you say, this game doesn't matter, this score doesn't matter. It does. Because I'm still going to have to see an Anaheim Duck fan on Twitter talk about how they just crushed us 6-1. What did we say last year, Ryan? These guys don't hate losing. And if you want to start building a culture, start taking preseason games seriously and start winning the games. We went 5-2 last year in the preseason, and everyone says, well, it didn't matter. We didn't make the playoffs. It didn't matter. I'll tell you actually what, it mattered more last year to win those 5 preseason games as a new franchise than it does probably if we go 0-8 or however many games there are this season, right? Last season, it mattered a lot in terms of the fundamental element of having an NHL team here, of knowing it's the preseason but not caring, and setting the tone for the rest of the season. That those wins mattered. And now what you have is the culmination of so many months and months and months of us telling ourselves that we have these great rookies and this great stable of young talent that has just been completely, it just shit the bed. There's been a couple of bright spots. For the most part, though, they have not played well. They really have not. And it's been your veterans carrying the load. Sergachev, 26 minutes of ice time. Is that really necessary in a preseason game? If these scores don't matter, and if these games don't matter, you're really willing to put Sergachev on the ice for 26 minutes? Sean Durzi played 26 and a half in the game against Colorado. If these games don't matter, why are your best defensemen playing that much? They won't even play that much in the regular season. I know they're capable of it. But so I feel like I'm hearing double talk about in certain cases they matter, in certain cases they don't matter, but the overarching is it doesn't matter. Well, other than the contractual obligations to play your veterans, just don't play them, right? Don't play Sergachev and Durzi 26 plus minutes in a meaningless preseason game. How upset would we have been if Cooley was actually injured long term, right? He's not, thank God. But I want to start taking it seriously. Take the preseason game seriously. Take the game against Las Vegas seriously. Go out there and crush them. If you're a young guy, show us that you want to play on this team. Show us that you want to make the team. Go be a superstar individual player. I don't care. But I'll also tell you this. Go, Dustin.
I will say this from a coaching perspective. What matters is what you're trying to do. Like, you're messing with lines. It's what Bear likes to do throughout the season. Like, I want to put Sergachev and Durzi together and see how they play together. I want to put these players together and see how they manage. Like, you're testing and you're tinkering and you're seeing, like, okay, if I place this veteran with this rookie, how do they play together? And from a player's perspective, so let me back up a little bit. As a coach, what's happening on the ice matters, even if the final score doesn't matter, because you're not necessarily trying to win these games. That's not the most important thing. You're trying to see who can play together and who can't, and what works and what gels, and what skills match up with each other. And from a player perspective, you don't want to go out there and be a solo superstar and doing a whole bunch of stuff that are outside of the framework of what you're trying to do as a team. As a player, you're trying to do the right thing and what coach is expecting of you in that position on that line. Like, he doesn't give a damn if you can if you're a defenseman and you can fire a bunch of shots from the blue line and score twice. Like, he's not asking you to go out there and just find a way to score, just fire a whole bunch of pucks on net and see if they can find the back and let's score. You want that as a fan. The coach doesn't want that. And the players are smart enough to know my coach doesn't want that. So I'm not going to do this and worry about scoring and worrying about the final score. I'm going to show coach that he can rely on me to be where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to do. So like that, everything that's going into the game and the framework of the game, that's what matters. The final score doesn't matter.
I understand that, and I get the playing systems, but I don't think this team has a system. I don't think Coach Bear understands what he wants out of his players. I don't think he knows where he wants them to go other than to score. We talked about whether or not he has a system. So other than maybe taking a look at your special teams, which power play hasn't been that great in the preseason. That's one area where it should have been, especially against Anaheim. It should have been fantastic. There's no way he's making it. Onibuchi, there's no way he's making it, right? Douglas, McGregor, McCartney, Hebig, they're not making it. Agazino, not making it. None of them. If your name's not Iginla, Kobo Dwan, Simashev, or Daniil Boot, you have no chance of making this roster this year. You have no chance. And that's just the facts. That's just the simple facts. Doesn't matter how good any of those other guys play, they are not making the opening day roster. Maybe they can work their way into a press booth, but I don't think so. You're much more valuable in the AHL. And so it's like, at that point, like, who are we really looking for? So I'll tell you what I would like to see as a fan. Here's what I would like to see over the next 5 or 6 games that we have. How many? I think we have 4 or 5 left. I would like to see, we've got 4 new lines, really, and I would like to see all 4 of them in one of the games. So I would like to see Cooley, Gunther, and Peterka on a line in a preseason game, right? Keller, Schmaltz, and Hayton, we've already seen them, but I want to see them again. And then I want to see the lines 3 and 4. So I want to see, what is it going to be? Kraus, McBain, and Tanev? Kraus, McBain, Carconi? Kraus, McBain, Yamamoto? Pick a line on your third line. Who are going to be? Because I assume it's going to be McBain and Kraus. So who's going to be that pairing with them? Pick a guy. And then do your fourth line. You can't have Kerfoot because he's out injured, but you've got Stenlund. And so who do you put? Who do you put there? Is it Yamamoto? Is it O'Brien? Will we even see O'Brien? Is O'Brien looking at all these young guys fighting and he's saying, hey, put me in, coach. I can also get a 10-minute misconduct. I'll lose the fight, but I can get a 10-minute misconduct or a 5-minute for fighting. You know, we're going to have 20 fights by the end of the preseason.
And I'm okay with that.
I am too, but like at the same time, it's like, are these guys like hoping that gets them into the roster? Like, oh yeah, if I kick the shit out of this guy, I'm gonna be in the press box. Like what is the point of these fights? Like, is there some lingering resentment or animosity from like a holdover from the AHL? You know, like I don't understand why Curtis Douglas needs to drop the gloves a minute 15 into the game. Like, what, setting the tone for the preseason game? Like, I don't know. It seems like it's a song and dance. And if they want me to care about it, then make me care. But then don't get mad at me when I care. Don't tell me, oh, well, it doesn't matter. You can't be angry at the result because it's a preseason game and these games are meaningless. Well, then don't broadcast them. Don't air them. Let me just watch them through Twitter. If you don't want me to get invested, don't let me get invested. And then certainly don't criticize me for getting invested. That's my rant. That's all.
That was a good rant.
Want the team to win. That's good. It's good that you're watching. Invest yourself in what you're seeing. Invest yourself in seeing how the new guys are playing. Invest yourself on seeing the new additions, the rookies, the young guys. Allow it to invest yourself in our AHL teams. Like, oh, these guys are kind of good. Maybe I'll check out a Tucson game this season. I like these guys. Find yourself invested. Find ways to get invested without saying, well, you didn't win this game that completely and totally matters, so now I'm upset. Find a better way to invest yourself.
If we lose to Las Vegas, I'm going to say that we're not going to make the playoffs. That's how invested I am. We're not going to make the playoffs if we lose to Vegas's farm team.
Okay, I'll allow it. I'll back you up on Twitter if you go public with that, because it's just that's a fair overreaction, right? That's very fair.
Thank you. Yeah. So last thing. Speaking of overreaction, so then I say people. Let's just say it was Mike Folta, radio voice of the guy. He's obviously in the know. He obviously is a tremendous hockey mind. But as he's explaining how it doesn't matter that we're 0-3, it wouldn't matter that we're 3-0. Also goes on to say, but by the way, Anaheim played more NHLers. If it doesn't matter, why make that excuse, right? Like, if nothing matters, why even use it as an excuse? Just simply commit to it does not matter. It doesn't matter how many NHLers they had. It doesn't matter how many NHLers we had. This game didn't matter. No excuses. Win, lose, draw. Doesn't matter. Don't even keep score. But the fact that they qualified it means that they're a little concerned. They're a little concerned.
That's just going towards like a point of like they had a good chunk of what's going to be on their opening day roster. We had a much smaller fraction of what's going to be on our opening day roster. And if you look at it from that standpoint, it's like, yeah, you're playing a game with 7 NHLers against their 13. They're playing with twice as many NHL skill level guys as we are. Yeah, you're going to lose that game. Like, it's not like an excuse, just like, yeah, you're going to lose that game. The final score isn't what we're aiming for.
I guess, too, we talk about the skill gap, and it is crazy how large of a skill gap there can be between even an AHL guy and an NHL-ready guy. Like, that skill gap is incredible. It seems like it shouldn't be much, right? Like, you're in the AHL, you're just right there. You're right on the cusp. But, right, that's why there's career AHL players and career NHL players, because there still exists such a huge, massive gap between those two skill sets. But all right, you've talked me off the ledge of the preseason, but now we've got to set our sights to the regular season. Let's end this episode talking about, I want to hear your expectations and give me your prediction for how this season goes. Let's assume it's probably going to be talked about, but let's assume no catastrophic injuries. Right? And then give me what your predictions, what you want to see out of this team, and ultimately where you see the season ending up.
I want to see us fighting for a playoff spot. I think that we maybe aren't going to win a Stanley Cup with this team, but I think that we've done a good enough job of building a competitive team, not a bottom of the barrel team every year. I think the young guys are all going to, either they all have to step up, or Clayton Keller has to have another career year. And how many of those does he have in him left? Probably at least a couple. I don't want to sell the guy short. But yeah, I think we have a roster that should be competitive. The fans are ready. The team should be ready. And honestly, I think we fire our coach and get a better one, and we're a much better playoff team. But I think we should be fighting for a playoff spot.
Team, with the additions that they made, with how good they were last year, with the additions that they made, and assuming no catastrophic injuries, like not going a big chunk of the season without Dylan Gunther like we did last year, this team should be pushing towards high 90s, like inching towards that 100-point mark, like firmly in the playoffs. I don't think that this roster is one that should be like just cracking the 90s, like 95, 93, 94, 95, like fighting and like inching and fighting their way into the playoffs. Like, I think this team should be firmly in the playoff hunt. Like, we should not be coming down to the last 2, 3, 4, 5 games of the season wondering, is this team going to make the playoffs? They should be firmly there. And I kind of talked about it early on in this podcast, but like, they absolutely have to get off to a good start. Like, early on in the season, you play Nashville, Chicago, San Jose, Boston. Like, those are games that you should be winning, whether they're on the road or they're at home. You have to win those games, because after that stretch comes Colorado, St. Louis, Minnesota, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Tampa Bay. Like, that's going to be a very, very tough streak right there. You have to get off to a good start. And getting off to a good start is going to let you play with a lot more confidence in those tougher games. If you go out and you lose to Chicago, you lose to San Jose, you lose to Boston, you're going into that stretch down, like you're down on yourself. You're not playing with confidence, and that could send this entire season into a tailspin. And so, like I know we talk about like should Bear be the coach of this team or not, but if they get off to a bad start and then they hit that stretch of games from like October 1st to the 28th and they're losing, you have to make a change quick, because this is a roster that should be right around 98 to 100 points, if not more. And if you get off to a bad start, you're not hitting that mark. That's my expectation and my hope for what we see this season.
Absolutely reasonable expectation. I think that is the big thing that the players, the coaching staff, and all of the fans recognize, right? Is the excuses are done. The rebuild is officially over. Now we are in the build phase, and the build phase has to have a playoff appearance in it. This is why I really, really, really don't want our true rookies to make the team, because then I feel like it gives us just that little bit of a leeway to say, oh, well, they're still so young. They're still so young. Like, give them a few years. Just wait a few years, and then we'll be really good, right? Like, I'm sorry, but Cooley, Gunther, and Peterka have already shown enough that it should not be wait till they're 26, 27, 28. Like, I will do that, and I'll get excited for that too. But I'll take them now, and now they are good enough to get us into the playoffs. And our third and fourth lines are good enough, with enough veteran presence to get us to the playoffs. Our defensemen are phenomenal and good enough to get us into the playoffs. So if we do not, it is a monumental failure. And there's two things that could happen. First, you got to look at Coach Bear. If he hobbles his way where it's like an identical to last season, where we're right on the cusp, about a month off, like, yeah, if things break our way, we might get there. Like, I don't know if that's better or worse for him than if he just shits the bed early, like maybe it's better for him long term, but like, to me, that shows that that's just who he is, right? That's his ceiling, is getting us to an also ran spot. The second most important thing of this season, pressure is on, and it's not necessarily on him alone, but it's how does Veggie do? Vejmelka will have the biggest role and the biggest responsibility towards this team's success for the entire season. And here's where I worry, because we saw what Andre Turney did last year and how he mishandled the goalies from basically November on. Until he had no other choice to go with Vejmelka, he made almost every possible bad decision you could make with goalies. Now you have two goalies, assuming they don't add anyone else, in Vanacek and Vejmelka, both who love routine and who love to start games consistently. I worry he's going to try to treat them like a tandem, like it's Veggie and Ingram, and 1-1-1-1-1-1-1. That's a disaster. That should get him fired alone if he does that.
I think, I hope. I think the reason that the Coach Bear did that kind of back and forth is because their last season in Arizona, Ingram was better than Vejmelka. They came here, and Vejmelka became better than Ingram. And then he tried to give Ingram the benefit of the doubt. It's like, okay, I've seen you do this. I've seen you play. I know how good you can be. I know you were better than Veggie last year, so I want to give you that opportunity. Maybe, like, the team and Ingram parting ways is sort of like a blessing in disguise for Bear, because he doesn't have that with Vanacek, right? He doesn't know him, he hasn't seen him, and he's obviously not on the same level of Vejmelka. He didn't do that last year when we had Veggie and Stauber. I mean, granted, Stauber's an AHL level caliber goalie, so it's a little easier to make that decision, but Vanacek is not at the level of Vejmelka, so I'm hoping that just lets him run the 4 to 5 starts to every one system that we hope that he does, because he doesn't have that personal connection. And having seen Ingram do it in Arizona is like, okay, I know you can do this. I'm going to keep running you out there. So maybe a blessing in disguise.
We're going to see. It all comes down to how consistent can Veggie play and how does Bear handle the goalie rotation or tandem, whatever you want to call it, the goaltending position. And I want to see, honest to God, I want to see Veggie get 60 starts. I mean, 55 minimum. 55 is the bare minimum of starts for Vejmelka to have a successful season. And I don't want it to only come because it feels like we're going to miss the playoffs if we don't start Vejmelka 23 games in a row. Please don't do that again, right? Just don't. Guys, we're here though. It's right around the corner. We are a few weeks away from puck drop on the opening game, and then just a few more weeks after that, the Utah Mammoth make their first season appearance in the newly renovated Delta Center. Guys, it's going to be an exciting season, and we'll be there along the way. Closing thoughts, Ryan, Dustin?
Go Mammoth.
And maybe this is a closing thought for after. Maybe we should have discussed it, but are we doing a 2-line league pass this season? I committed us to it at the end of last year, but are we going League Pass episodes also?
We can do some League Pass. League Pass is where we talk about the NHL as a whole. It's going to be fun at the very least. We'll give our thoughts on the NHL. Hey, speaking of additional things, let's give a shout out to Your Mom Loves Hockey and Your Mom Loves Hockey's husband, winners of the Fanley Cup. We were not able to give them the Fanley Cup, but they won it. They won it.
They'll get it. They'll get it.
It would be remiss.
I will find a way.
If I did not win the Fanley Cup. So Fanley Cup coming towards the end of the season. 2-line league pass coming up in a couple weeks. We probably won't talk about it in the preseason. I don't want to get that. But come October, we'll probably do our first league pass episode. But we'll be launching the weekly episodes starting this week, going into every week throughout the season. We're going to be having post-game shows for most of the away games, the home games less so, but we'll get on occasionally. But we're going to have our weekly show. We're going to have our league pass. We're going to have our post-game shows, and it's going to be an amazing season. So I hope you guys all enjoy it and join us for the ride. Thanks so much for listening to the inaugural season 2 episode of the 2-Line Pass. Thanks. Have a great night.